All right.
Why does an elephant
It's a beautiful day.
Why can't we play all the time?
It's Mr.
Hello,
Rogers.
everybody. Welcome.
Why can't
Welcome to the Ben and Jay Show. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes,
What's
it is.
What's going on? What's going on, Ben? How you doing today?
You know what? It's actually a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be in the neighbor. Always be a good neighbor to others. Always be kind to one another. That's what we should all be in this world. Yeah, so I'm actually having a good day today. Jamal, I mean, I love Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is the best.
Mr. Rogers is the best. So that's why we started the show with it. And we just want to make sure that everybody who's tuning in today, we want to thank you guys. It's now a beautiful day. It must be because everybody knows the Ben and Jay Show is on. So the sun has
My
came
name
out
is Ben.
and the birds are chirping. See, look, we got the little birds. The birds are chirping. There you go. But we like eagles. We don't like the robins. We like the eagles. So we're going to throw that away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We want to let you guys know that this webinar is made possible by Access Services. Access Services is a nonprofit organization serving 11 counties in eastern Pennsylvania with the mission to create better ways to serve people with special needs. They've been doing that for over 44 years, and there's no stopping them. They are only expanding their services as they benefit the needs of those in eastern Pennsylvania. So, Ben,
my name is Ben, and this is my man Jay over here. My man Jay. It's called the Ben and Jay Show.
The Ben and Jay Show. Listen, before we get into our fabulous guest, Dr. Weinberg, let's tell the guests a little bit about yourself so they understand who you are, why you are the man.
So I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. And I only knew 20 words. A speech therapist taught me how to talk. Her name was Paula Barson, and from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And today I just talk, and there's no off button on me.
I think there's an off button, but you just like to speak to people.
There is an off button. I screamed. I haven't told anybody this on my webinar. I screamed 11 times on a roller coaster, and I lost my voice.
Well, guess what, Ben? You scream, I cry. So don't tell anybody about it, but you can scream, and you'll see the tears pour down off of my face. So it's
my gosh.
We're good. We're good.
Oh,
we're good.
My gosh.
Well, everybody, my name is Jay. I'm just one portion of the Ben and Jay Show. A little bit about me. You guys know me as the co-host, the creator of the Ausome Show. Also, too, you know me as a father of an awesome child. We like to use that acronym instead of using autism. And that will be my son, Shane, who is my inspiration on anything that I do. But now knowing Ben and being introduced into Ben and his amazing family, he is also my inspiration to do anything that comes to our beautiful children and adults with autism and special needs. I am also a person who has been labeled in society as disabled. I have not let that conquer any of my dreams, and you shouldn't either. And we are here to give you hope in a time where hope is desperately needed. Captain America, aka Ben, over there is he joined and he got the Avengers together. I don't know which one I would be, but he got me, and we come here with the Ben and Jay Show to give you guys a little bit of hope and especially highlight those awesome children and parents out there. All right, so Ben, tell everyone, might be people all over the world that are listening or watching, tell them the reason why you started this show, because you told me you wanted to get me on board, and I was like, wow.
I was doing my exercise, and I stopped, and I was like, all my events got canceled, all my talks got canceled, and I feel like God was saying to me, start a show. So I literally called you up, and I said, Jamal, let's start this. And he goes, okay. We started out doing Zoom, and then I was like, I need to talk to Access about seeing if we can do something like this. Access was on board, and now we're here.
Hey, there you go. We're just doing this for you guys, and we hope you appreciate it. But not only appreciate it, but also just spread the word about what we're doing here and continue just to support these awesome individuals.
Continuing the conversation, absolutely.
Exactly. So, without further ado, our guest here today, The resume extends further than probably anybody could ever imagine. So I'm gonna try my best to give you as much highlight as I possibly can. Our guest today is Dr. Beverly Weinberg. Dr. Weinberg has over 25 years of experience in service delivery, research, training, and program development. She is passionate about helping individuals who are often the recipients of assistance assume leadership roles as providers of service to their communities. She has partnered with corporations and local, national, and international nonprofit organizations to create innovative opportunities for individuals of all abilities to build social capital and community connection. Dr. Weinberg brings the passion and experience to the organization, Integrate for Good, and its founder and executive director. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, that was too short to exude the awesome passion behind Dr. Beverly Weinberg. Let's give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And
Hello, Beverly Dr. Weinberg. It's so great to see you again. I remember you from the Penn State conference and the National Night Out and the when I spoke at Access last year. I saw you at the two luncheons.
wow.
Yeah, it is always exciting to see you, Ben, and it's great to meet Jay through this process too. So I'm excited to be reconnected.
Great, great. So before we get into the questions, let's get into the video so people can understand and get a visual aspect of what exactly you do. So let's roll that video.
A lot of people ask me why there is a need for Integrate for Good in our community. We have a lot of nonprofit organizations in Montgomery County. I feel there is a specific need for Integrate for Good to capture the untapped talent of people of all abilities. So we believe that we can use volunteerism as a tool for pulling people together, giving them an exciting reason to come join us, and not only interact and volunteer with the people they came with, whether that might be their own family member or a friend or somebody from a day program they attend, but they're meeting other people who they share a common connection with. So even though we're making the sleepy mat, you'll hear people talking about their favorite movies or their favorite sports teams, and realizing that while we all on the outside look different from each other, we actually have more in common than we often think.
Oh, this is a no-no bag.
I'm Elaine. This is my granddaughter, Lauren. We've been coming to since she was 2 and she's now 16.
Yes.
She's come from for Story Hour. I would bring her for that. And I get the emails from the library. So I knew about this project and thought it was very worthwhile for the community and for us as grandmother and granddaughter, that we have something that we can do together.
Yeah, and this is our 3rd week. And we're going to keep coming, but then I have to go back to school. So.
And oh yes, this is what I made today, and this is what she made, and then they will use these on the looms and make them.
So I think it's important for people my age to be involved with volunteering, because a lot of people my age are very focused on people my age. We're focused on people our age. We're not focused on people who are older, younger, in different situations than us. But coming together and volunteering with people with different abilities and with different ages, it helps us broaden our view of people in general and helps us learn from people who have different backgrounds than us or different ages. Because I feel like a lot of people my age don't learn as much as they can from people of different ages.
Integrate for Good embraces the words of poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou. And she said, you can't go through life with a catcher's mitt of both hands. You have to be able to throw something back. And we really embrace her words and believe that many people with disabilities do go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. And we try to remove that extra glove so people can be in the game as pitchers as well as catchers, receiving services, but also contributing, sharing their talents as valued members of local communities.
That's pretty cool.
That is. Not to mention, I see an Eagles fan.
And I recognize a few people in there.
That is the awesome part of that. Wow. This is crazy. So let's just chop it up. I mean, first off, how's your day going? What's going on? Everything good with you?
Yeah, my day's going great. Sun's shining now, and every
Mhm.
day I feel like we have a choice to wake up, and we can't control maybe what's happening around us, but we can control our reaction to it. So I'm committed to keeping Integrate for Good strong. We've had to pivot
Mhm.
really 100% of what we're doing, but I believe that the importance of pulling people together, whether we do that virtually now or wait till we can do it again in person, we don't want to stop our momentum, and we're just finding ways to make a difference every day. So it's another day to do that. So it's a good day.
Mhm.
Yep,
I agree,
that's all.
100%.
I agree to that. I agree to that. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, as they say, as the meat of this conversation to get it started. Is let's talk about the roots. Basically, what started this journey as far as your current passion, and was there a personal account of having a special need or trial that incurred this actual passion, or was it something else?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think back, people often ask me which one of my own daughters has a disability because people always want to know why you do what you do, right? So they think that's my why. And neither one of my teenage daughters has a disability. But I think back to when I was a little girl and I was very, very shy. And I also had to wear metal braces on my legs because of a hip issue, which was resolved. So I wouldn't call it a disability. It
Mhm.
was an impairment that I went through for a little while, for a few years. But I remember, and I share this story of gym class because I remember it like it was yesterday. And that gym teacher, when it was time to pick teams for whatever game we were playing, she would
Mhm.
line us up in the middle of the gym. You can think of like a half court line on a basketball court, like where it's painted red. And I would just dread it. And it was Monday morning, so it wasn't a good way to start my week. And kids would get picked to be a captain. And I never knew what it was like to be a captain because I was never picked to be a captain. The other kids who were, more physically able were. And then the kids would pick each other and they would pick, Johnny on one side of me and Mary on the other side. And I knew what would happen every Monday. And I would be the last one standing, in not a good way. Sometimes that's a good thing. This is not a good thing.
Not a
And
good one.
then sometimes the kids would insist, oh, we'll take you if we have to. We'll put up with you if we have to. We'll tolerate you. Or the teacher often would say, this game probably isn't safe for you. Why don't you go sit on the stage up there? And I was excluded. And at
Right.
that age of probably about 6 years
Mhm.
old, I knew, and I remember, I'm giving my age away now. This is over 40 years ago. I remember sitting on that stage. I can like smell whatever they painted on that wooden stage, like the poly. Like
Uh-huh.
I can just live it because to me, I felt invisible. Like they all went on playing,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I felt like obvious. Like here I am sitting up there with these braces on for everybody to see on display. So I think that's where I got my first feeling of what it felt like to be left out, to be on the sidelines watching everybody else play, and for someone else being able to decide if you could or not. And to me, that's a social justice issue. Growing up and looking back, I'm like, that's a social justice issue. And I feel like that shouldn't happen to any kids and it shouldn't happen to any adults either. So that's probably like the earliest roots, I would say, of what inspired me to come into this field and to try to make a difference with people like you guys.
Wow, that's amazing. I can
That's
I
pretty
can
cool.
100% like Ben. It's we can resonate with this personally. A lot of people don't know. And let's see. Do we have the picture? Do we have my picture? We can show the. There we go. Look at that. Look at those
Mhm.
handsome devils right there. But as you can see in
Wow.
my picture, that is my son Shane. He is on the autism spectrum, and that is me. And if you notice on my right leg,
Mhm.
I have what is medically called an AV fistula. What that is the actual extension of extra muscles and veins inside of my leg due to a surgery that basically saved my life when I was born. It was a port that was made in my leg to continue the blood flow from my heart to my feet up to my brain and back and forth and so on. I too was the kid who was lastly picked or never picked. I too was the
Mhm.
child who was placed because of my own protection off to the side and just given an A for gym class because I was thought of as I couldn't do it. So I definitely do know what the pain and the the embarrassment, having adults see me out in public and stare, and having kids say, "Ew, what's wrong with his leg?" These are things that a lot of people turn into negative aspects in their life, and they lash out at everybody. What I found it to be, it was my strength. And little did I know that, Shane, my son, is a gift from God. So he actually blessed me with someone with amazing capabilities that needed the guidance which I went through in my life. So I exactly can resonate with what you're going through. Well, what you did go through, excuse me. And it's real helpful to know that there are people out there that are compassionate about this, and willing to do things in perspective for other people's lives. So I definitely was on the same level. I know Ben was, and this is the reason why we're here. This is the reason why you're a guest. So, and our audience as well, I'm sure they can resonate or know someone, family or friend, that they can actually relate this story to. So that's awesome.
And sometimes, we think that what we experience is a special need, when really it's a human need. A human need to want to feel part of what's going on, and to feel included, and to feel like you have the same opportunities that other people have. We always say when we started Integrate for Good, it was special. Then we're like, the more people we saw coming out to volunteer and wanting to be included and wanting to be seen and celebrated for their ability. Some of them might have an invisible disability, or they might be someone who's recently retired that still wants to feel valuable to us. So the more people that shared their stories like you just did, we realize that it's really a thread that goes through so many people, and something that we really can all resonate with, wanting to feel part of what's going on.
Exactly.
Not good to be on the sidelines,
No, it's never.
No, I agree.
Unless you're the Cowboys, then you can afford to be on the sidelines.
Yeah, unless you're making good money on the Eagles, right?
Exactly. See, we like her.
Plain Jane like me, like, you want to be in the game,
There you go. Hey, Ben, I know you had a question for Dr. Weinberg. You posed this question on me on my perspective in life, but you had a question for her similar to that. You can go ahead and ask her that. I'm sure she's waiting to hear what you got for her.
And we go, hold on, back to the Word document. Apologize. So it says notes. Ben, what changed what has changed in your perspective in life, especially with those others with special needs?
There you go. That's the question. That is the question.
Yeah. So what's changed my perspective? I feel like my perspective changes with almost every person I get to interact with, because I feel like when people share their stories, they teach me. And I always say,
Mohad, for example, because Mohad loves talking.
Yeah, so Mohad, and it's great because we see that our work changes, and people want to know, how do you change people's thinking, right? That's a really hard thing to do. How do you change perspectives? How do you change, people might see somebody with, a disability that you can see, and automatically things are going through their mind. They might be discounting that person's intelligence, their talent, their ability to work, or their ability to have a family, or anything. So when people share their stories with me, that enlightens me. And Moad, who you mentioned, he is a young gentleman who volunteers with Integrate for Good, and he was learning our Sleeping Mat project, which is one of the projects we do, and he was so good at it. Corporations were starting to ask us to come lead their employees in volunteerism. So I would bring my neurodiverse team with me, and we would have people with disabilities leading these corporate employees. So we were at a company called Affiliated Distributors in Malvern. They had us come out to I think we had 100 volunteers or 120 volunteers that day. And Moad is somebody who's on the autism spectrum, and he has a passion for Mr. Rogers, and he always has. And he can sing perfect pitch. He reminds me a lot of Ben, because he has this like larger than life personality. Like, he just lights up a room when he walks into it. And everybody was kind of volunteering quietly. And I was thinking, I wish I could get people a little more engaged. I'm not sure what to do. Then all of a sudden, Moad shouted out, when I count to 3, we're all going to start singing It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And
I love it. I love it.
He had a direct support professional with him who was like just really interested in making sure that, he was doing what he was supposed to do. Really good staff person, but too often, and maybe Ben, you've experienced this, I find that people on the spectrum might have like a passion, something they just love, and they want to talk about it all the time. And with me, that's integrate for good. I love to talk about it and think about it all the time. And I might not sing about it, but maybe I will start doing that. But Maud started singing, and all of a sudden that dynamic in the room changed. Just because Moad was being Moad and sharing who he was, everybody was singing. And as we were leaving, the CEO of that company took me aside and he said, you know, our corporate culture here would be completely different for the better if we had someone like Moad on our staff. And that is what we have to get people proximate to each other. We have to get people just close to other people they might not normally interact with. And that's how you change perspective. And I believe, you know, macro level change, you know, we want to change the world. You know, Ben and I share that visionary spirit, but that happens one person at a time, one relationship at a time. So my perspective changes, and I think other people's perspectives change when they have the opportunity to get to know people who they might prejudge because they haven't spent time with them.
Amazing, amazing. It's crazy. As you were speaking, we have someone that was interested in the show. She couldn't make it, and I've heard she fights for disabilities within her area, which is Chinatown. Just shout out to her. But just bringing in what you were saying is
hello, Philadelphia.
it's amazing what our awesome people can actually change in the perspective of our lives just by simply being them. I mean, Ben, for example, he changed my life in so many different ways just by meeting him, that there is no reason to be upset or angry every day you're above ground. The simplest thing that people take for granted. I mean, today, you know, with COVID-19 and everything that's going on, you know, people can barely breathe. And yet we still are blessed and able to actually breathe and walk around and stay somewhat healthy. So, you know, for a Moab to go into a corporation and just to show these people the simple things such as Mr. Rogers in the song. This show was dedicated for Moab. You know, make sure he knows that we put that song on just for him before. It's just simply amazing. Let's go into your company and what's the mission, and let's let you explain it so they can understand and put the face to the actual logo and to the company and everything that it has to offer.
Sure. So first I have to give a shout out to Access Services, because a few years ago, I approached Rob Reed, Access's president and CEO, with a crazy idea. And I didn't even have a name for it yet. You know, it was Integrate for Good in a little bit different form. It was evolving. And I heard about a federal grant that we could apply for to kick off a pilot of this work. And Rob, being a fellow visionary then, he said, you know, let's go for it. And honestly, Rob and I, neither of us thought the grant would come through. Like, we thought it was such a super long shot. And, you know, divine intervention, miracles happen, and we were approved for that grant. We're now in year 4 of that grant, actually. And that was the start, because Access has a philosophy of embracing innovation, thinking outside the box, trying to find, you know, where are pieces, you know, in our system that could be strengthened.
Exactly.
So now that Integrate for Good is its own nonprofit organization, I always give a shout out to Rob Reed and Access Services, because we never would have started without somebody believing in a crazy idea of doing things a little differently. So that's really what Integrate for Good is about. It's bringing innovation to this field and providing leadership opportunities for people that, like you said, that are typically recipients of service, right? I was an occupational therapist. Well, I am an occupational therapist. I worked in school districts for 25 years, North Penn, shout out to North Penn High School, graduate, and I got to work there in Satterton, Cheltenham, some other local districts. And I was just realizing this untapped talent, especially among our 18 to 21-year-olds. You know, like, they need opportunities for when they graduate.
Exactly.
And one of the vehicles we can use to make those opportunities stronger is volunteerism and social capital building, connecting them to opportunities where they can be involved through paid employment.
Absolutely. You preach it, Brad. Preach it.
Or what we specialize in is volunteerism, because we believe that's an important part of being a citizen. So that's really what we try to do through 3 channels: empowerment, connection, and education. So in the area of empowerment, we create digital portfolios with people with disabilities. It's like a video resume. So they can share their talents and their abilities, and we specialize in creating them for people who are nonverbal, because sometimes people look at some people that I know that are nonverbal and they might not realize how smart they are. They might not understand their sense of humor or their ability. So we make that come alive through these empowerment videos. Connection is what we were doing before COVID-19, multiple days a week. We're at the Elmwood Park Zoo, we're at Ursinus College, we're at schools, we're at senior centers, we're at libraries, bringing people together to volunteer. And education, we do guest lectures at universities, we do research to make sure that we're using the current information to kind of move this work forward and give people the opportunities they need. So empowerment, connection, education, all together make Integrate for Good what it is.
I agree, 100%.
You know what? Me personally, that was a lot to unpack, and it's a lot of good material and a lot of good substance that I don't even think you need one website. I think you need a mass collection of websites where people are just everywhere. Wow, that's amazing. I'm
so glad you brought up my website, because I just want to give a shout out to Nick Welsh. Transition age youth, people like Ben's age, anyone deserves to be seen for, who they are and their talent. And sometimes that talent isn't, obvious right away. And I was so fortunate to get connected to Nick Welsh. He lives with, different abilities that he can share with people. That's his story to tell. But what some people would call his disability is, in my mind, what makes him a genius with IT, web design. I mean, I write to him. He's worked with me now since Integrate for Good started. He gets paid more than anybody in Integrate for Good. And we're just so thrilled that he's our web designer. This guy is 20 years old. And he is brilliant. So we are so thrilled that we have Nick behind the scenes for us, because I couldn't do even 1% of what Nick's able to do for Integrate for Good.
This is amazing. Go ahead, Ben. You were going to say something?
I was going to say that we need more people at Access and more people in corporations to hire people with disabilities. And I want to piggyback with what Dr. Beverly Weinberg said. He said we really should get out there and about Mohad, when he sings about Mr. Rogers. I just think it'd be cool. Brighten up people's day in many different ways. But I think if we meet somebody, this is a quote from Dr. Shore, if you meet somebody on the autism spectrum, you meet somebody on the autism spectrum.
You're right. That's a whole other topic, a whole other show. And unfortunately is untapped, where a lot of people don't think. They think about the now, okay, let's help the kids, through grade school, through middle school, through high school. But then after that is like, okay, what's going on? And you know what? That brings up a very good point, Ben. And this is the reason why, Dr. Weinberg here, her organization, her website, and just what she does is so pivotal to our adults who are actually coming out of school and who is challenging the world with what they have, their gift. Because we're not going to use disabilities. We're going to use gifts. So
ability.
There you go. That's an even better word. So I definitely do believe that you're on to something as far as that conversation. And who else than Dr. Weinberg on here actually speaking about what she does and what she does with her passion. So definitely a good observation, Ben, on that. I think it was a good piggyback to go ahead on to that.
And I always say, I love to say that, I went to school for this. I love this work. I'm privileged to be able to do it, but I'll never be an expert. And I always say, Ben, and people that have a lived experience with whatever challenge that they're living with, maybe it's autism, maybe it's Down syndrome, maybe it's a physical disability, maybe it's a mental health challenge. If you can share your story, I think that's huge. And that's what we try to really help people do, is to kind of find their voice and share it, because I can, do the research, I can read, but I don't live it, and I'm not a parent of a child with a disability. So we really have that as our focus, to really, where are the voices of people that know what their life is like, know what they need, know what they want, and how can we partner with them to just empower all of us to create a community where everybody has a place where they belong and has the same opportunities that everybody else has.
And that's simply amazing because, you know, Ben right there, I mean, he's just a perfect example of encompassing what, you know, what someone with amazing abilities that's ready to give it to the world is actually feeling and thinking. And Ben is not afraid to talk to you about it.
No.
He'll tell you, he'll introduce you, say, look at him. Hey, not at all. Not at all. And you know, that's
I
coming
like when
from
you go like this, Jamiel. I think that's pretty good.
like that. That's coming from his
Again, that's like at National Night Out, you know, Ben mentioned that that was one of the places where we were together because, you know, whenever I'm out in the community, I'm like not shocked to see Mayor Ben there, like, you know, connecting people and like grabbing the microphone, doing the Eagles fight song. And I was trying to do, remember, Ben, I was trying to figure out my phone just to do Facebook Live. And I don't know what I was doing, certainly not doing it right. And Ben's like, just give me your phone. And all of a sudden, like through my phone, I'm like, I posted my first Facebook Live video, thanks to Ben. I never would have done it without his help. So he just jumps in there and like makes his ability so evident to anyone who's lucky enough, you know, to know him and be around him.
Now,
I wonder if I can help you out for Integrate for Good sometime. Like help you out, promote them.
Oh yeah, we
Oh
do.
my gosh.
We're definitely doing that.
Don't offer because you will be sorry you did. I'll take you up on that offer, Ben.
We are definitely.
I mean, because every volunteer that comes in to help us, you know, adds value to what we're doing. And we are, I mean, COVID-19 slowed us down a little bit. We're not going to let it slow us down too much. But our plan is to expand Integrate for Good so we can employ, just like Nick, more people with lived experience to be able to capture their talent and give them an opportunity to get, you know, paid well for the talents that they have.
And that's what I want to see for Access doing. That's my vision for Access, is to hire more people with disabilities on the platform. Like, because me and Kay, we were talking the other day, and we were like, I don't know what your job looks like for this, but this is a new role for you, and we don't know what it's going to look like. And I thought to myself, it would be cool to actually do more of this stuff, but actually get more people, like you said, people with abilities to actually help with the technology, help with the stuff.
That's awesome, Ben. I mean, look, Ben's always thinking ahead, thinking about 4 to 50 steps ahead, more than what I can do my old age. But you know, that's where Ben comes up. Hey, Ben, you got another question for Bev. I know you got a full list over there, so go ahead. You could go ahead to your next one.
All right. So you went. Can you talk about the structure of Integrate for Good and how does it operate?
Sure. So it depends on whether we're living in the COVID-19 or not. I'm going to talk about how we usually operate because our hope is to get back to that. So we really want to bring people together live. I mean, we are learning how to create communities virtually. I have to say, that's one of the silver linings. I mean, I do not wish this happened to anybody, but if you do try to look for the silver linings, it has really forced us to pivot and to not be scared of technology. One of the things for me, and I think about, you know, this could be the experience of people of all abilities. They might have been told year after year, this isn't for you. This isn't your wheelhouse. This, you know, don't try it, you know, like we were talking about before, you know, like you won't ever be able to ... And for me, that's technology. I mean, and Access knows, like I always would ask for help with the simplest technology questions when I worked there. But I knew how to kind of surround myself with people who that was their forte. You know, we're not all good at everything, but if we can find people, you know, that are like, you know, finding Nick was huge for me because he is the expert in what I don't understand and do very well. So that's really what we try to do, is kind of bring people together, everyone taking a piece in different projects. So we have a few projects going on right now, which I will talk about because we want people to know during COVID-19, you can still make a difference. So we're partnering one with the Skip Back Pharmacy here in Montgomery County, and they deliver medications to, well, we're all homebound now, but homebound elderly, and they wanted handmade cards to show seniors they're not forgotten. So that really goes along with our theme.
You know what? I actually like that idea because our church is doing something like that for hospitals. Cowboy
You know what? That
Saddleton.
looks really similar. Yeah.
And
So
that's
people can drop those cards. They can either mail them. There's a on our website,
Ooh.
I did a video for people that can't read and write. They can watch the video. Or if you can read and write, you can see the words there that'll tell you where to mail your cards to or drop them curbside at the pharmacy. We're also partnering with Operation Gratitude to get messages of hope to our frontline workers, our military heroes, and people that are EMT drivers, things like that. And we are keeping our sleeping mat project going. People probably have a lot of plastic bags at home.
Oh yeah.
And I just filmed a video yesterday. It's a bad video because I didn't have Nick's help, right? We're social distancing, so I had to make it with my family. But people can learn how to turn their plastic bags into the plastic yarn we use to make sleeping mats for people who are homeless.
Wow.
So on our
You know what I was
website, there are
just
a lot of
thinking?
ways. What?
I was thinking we should help people out there who like, I like your idea of like how we can, like, people with abilities can do different stuff. So I have a lot of connections like Mano on Main Street. I have connections like with CVS Pharmacy down the street here. But I was thinking we should talk to them and just write letters, encourage them, or like see how they can help out in different ways, like during this time, like help different people with different disabilities.
Totally.
I think that's huge. And we tell people, like, even if you can't, if you don't communicate with words, you can make artwork. You can draw a picture. You communicate in the way that you know how. And then those messages of hope, do get translated. Some of the people that Integrate for Good, works with, we can't see them right now. And, I was figuring out, like, how can we communicate if they don't text with words? And they are teaching me how to use all different emojis and stickers as a way. Like, we were communicating, Rima, who's one of our valued volunteers, we were communicating the other day and figured out through pictures that we both had pancakes for breakfast.
That's
and
what
we
you
got
told
really
me yesterday.
excited
It was
about
pretty
having that
good.
in common. It's the little things, right? During COVID-19, but we're like, you have pancakes? I'm having pancakes too.
I love
like
pancakes.
Chip pancakes.
Oh, do you make the best pancakes? I'm just kidding.
I don't know, maybe Rima does. But it's a great way because, before Thursday to Thursday, I would look forward to seeing Rima, but I wouldn't communicate with her. Now she sends me good morning picture every morning and a good night picture every night. And like, I've learned to like really appreciate that. And it kind of marks the time, like our days and nights can get confused with this craziness, right? And, it makes us realize we can either throw in the towel and hide under the covers or say, you know what, let's figure this out. We can make this work. It might not be what it looked like before, but let's give it a try. And we might fail and then try something else out. But, we can't be afraid to try.
It's crazy. I mean, something simple as that. And it reminds me a little bit too of the craziness that we used to live in called life, work, and making sure you're on time. I mean, there was plenty of times where I had to go to work and I wouldn't have a chance to say good morning to my son because he wakes up early. I wake up early. I used to actually start my day 4 a.m. and I would end it at 4 p.m. So I'm constantly busy, moving. Shane will go to school and I wouldn't have a chance to just say, hey, good morning. I love you. Have a great day. But now, and this is where I hope people actually see the blessings in this, just like you touched on, you're able to get a good morning text and say, hey, my son is being homeschooled, but it's like, hey, have a great day. And I'll talk to you later. And we have a very, very, I'm not going to say better, but a little bit more intriguing dialect now, more than what it used to be because of his schedule and my schedule and everything. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Another interesting point that you did putting out is Skip Back Pharmacy. That's crazy because I just went over there. Shout out to Maniac. He is a pharmacist over there, or he is the pharmacist over there. I had the pleasure of shopping there recently just for my family to get a couple of cleaning supplies and goods. And he just wanted to just help out people that are less fortunate without these goods. So just shout out to him. It was funny that you mentioned that, though.
Wow. And I think I saw Access posted something. I'm pretty sure it was Skip Back Pharmacy made a donation to some of the people working on the front line with like some of the protective equipment, whether I think it might have been gloves or I'm not sure,
cool.
but
That's
Exactly.
very
So
cool.
And that's a way
these
to
are,
come together as a community.
it is.
I'm wondering,
Go ahead, Ben.
I'm wondering if we can talk, if I can talk to CVS pharmacy, the one near my house, and my couple others around here, and see if they would like to, because I see them wear a mask. But speaking of like COVID-19 and stuff, I think we should help them out. I think we should write encouraging notes to the pharmacists.
Hmm. I mean, hey, listen, there's nothing too shy when it comes to compassion. Everything comes in line, and you know, it's really good to hear about Integrate for Good and what they're doing in the community. Another tidbit a lot of people don't know about me is my mom was actually homeless before she passed away. So the things that you guys are actually doing to help the homeless community is very, very important, especially now. A lot of us are busy worrying about our own families, what ifs, but what if you are a person that really don't have much at this time? So I implore everybody to just try to think about them and make your donations, but also to sign up, help out, go to Integrate for Good, you know, these other places, and donate your time. There's nothing more than donating your time in order to help those who are less fortunate. So it's a very, 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 very positive thing you're doing. And I want to thank you personally, because just like you, there was somebody out there who fed my mom or clothed her at one point in time. And I'm forever indebted to those individuals, you know, whoever they may be. So, what are your, let's go a little bit more. Ben, you got another question for Dr.
I do.
Weinberg? Yes.
I do, and I love this conversation so far.
Me too, Ben.
Is it the one? Is it the one that it goes? What is your future goals for Integrate for Good?
That's a good question. There you go.
Yeah, you know, at first when we got hit by COVID-19, I mean, we're a little different than organizations like Access and Ken Crest and Indian Creek and Peaceful Living. We partner with all of those organizations in our area because we share, you know, the same values and want to make sure opportunities are there for everybody. So we're very collaborative. When COVID-19 hit, you know, all of us, you know, we're looking at this kind of financial scary world. Like, for us, we don't get money like through county contracts where most of the other agencies do. So a heavy, heavy part of our budget is individual donations and contributions from local companies. So when COVID-19 hit, that pretty much dried up because a lot of philanthropy went to hunger relief, which was completely understandable. But we want to make sure that people with disabilities are not forgotten because they can experience social isolation and loneliness at higher rates. We all know what it feels like now to be socially isolated. We can't wait to get back to friends and family and sports teams and, you know, meeting people at the mall, whatever we do. For people with disabilities, unfortunately, social isolation is not something that's new for many of them. And when that magic date comes out, when the governor says, you know, we can go back to this activity or that activity, for people with disabilities, unless we work to create those opportunities, that date isn't going to matter to them. It's not going to have meaning because it doesn't mean anything has changed for them. So we should be developing more empathy because now we know, whether we experienced it or before or not, we all know now what it feels like to be isolated and set apart. So we hope people don't forget that. When hopefully things do return to whatever that normal is going to look like, we hope people remember, like, wow, wouldn't it be terrible if this was my normal and there wasn't like a light at the end of this tunnel like most of us, you know there will be. So the future of Integrate for Good, I would say, is first to navigate this crisis and survive it, which, you know, we want to do more than survive, we want to thrive. So we're looking at ways how to bring people together virtually. Through some of what's posted on our website, but then also to have high hopes and to plan for the fall. We're expanding onto different college campuses. We have a great program at Ursinus. We're bringing it to Montgo Community College, Gwynedd Mercy University, Reading Area Community College, and maybe even one other one if we get our funding. And we want to make opportunities for people of all abilities where there might not have been opportunities before. So that's what we're looking at for down the road. With hope.
Wow, it's crazy. I think you're a spy. because we were really talking about this. Stay tuned, everybody. And Dr. Weinberg, we might want to have you on as a guest panelist also. We are stirring up some ideas about a show speaking about what's going on with COVID-19 and how it relates to those who experience social isolation on a regular basis. So stay tuned for that. But I think you've been looking at our notes. I'm not sure. We got to make sure we turn our
I'm
cameras
so thrilled you're covering that, because I mean, that's a message we've been hammering out there that, hey, if you didn't experience this before and you think it's bad now, imagine if you had years of this, you know, or if you were looking forward to years of this. So I love that you're bringing attention to that, because I feel that loneliness is a true disability in itself.
It is.
And, you know, the research that we did at Temple that kind of fueled the creation of Integrate for Good was all about the social determinants of health and what social isolation does to your mental health, your physical health, your ability to be employed, your ability to live where you want and where you want to live, who you want to live with. So much of that is determined by your network of people and your support system. And we want to make sure people of all abilities have that in place. If they didn't before, they need to have it now so we can all, you know, get through this, you know, looking to a brighter future.
Absolutely. That's simply amazing. Hey, before anything, we actually have a question from Wayne. He wants to know how many kids with special needs are there in the program? Very good question, Wayne. Thank you for that.
Very good question, Wayne.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. When people come to our events and we count how many volunteer hours people do, we actually don't separate it out who has a disability and who doesn't, only because we don't ask those questions. So some people walk in and maybe they have Down syndrome, and that's an outward disability that people can identify. We have other people that you might not know they have a disability.
Yeah.
So we don't ask that, because what we're trying to do is create an inclusive community. So we don't have the numbers broken up those ways, but on an average week, we'll support, I would say, you know, children and adults together, a few hundred people. A lot of our activities right now, because we're growing, so we don't offer a lot in the evenings and weekends. So a lot of our activities are during the day. So we'll partner with schools. We'll push our programs into schools and work with a whole school or a whole grade. So I don't have an exact number, but we're always looking to partner with more organizations, because
have you partnered with North Penn?
Yes, North Penn is one of our valued partners. Shout out to North Penn. Thrilled to work with them.
Good friend of mine, Kurt Dietrich. Shout out to Kurt Dietrich, superintendent of North Penn.
Yeah, because we feel like we want to support people of all abilities, but it's equally important to change the perspective of people that don't have disabilities, so that we're creating opportunity for all people in our community together. So it's a little hard when we write for grants and things like that. That's a common question we get is, you know, how many people with disabilities? So sometimes people might come to us and live with a, you know, social anxiety or a mental health challenge. And unless they tell us, we don't know. But we let it up to each person to decide what of their disability they want to disclose, because that's their story to tell.
So
how much are you trying to raise for money and stuff? Like, what's your goal for that?
Ben, straight to the point. He is straight to the point. No chasing.
Gotta love Ben.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, so, you know, being new, you know, Access is almost 45 years old, which is amazing. And Kencrest over 100 years old, right? Indian Creek 40 something years old. We have these wonderful, strong organizations in our community with a lot of history. And then we have Integrate for Good. In January, we turn 1. So,
gotta start somewhere. Gotta start.
What? We had our first birthday. So the reality in the world is that, you know, and you look at it with any kind of business curve, you have what we call the early adopter curve, right? When the new iPhone comes out, there are people that bring their sleeping bag and their chair, and they're going to get that iPhone the day it comes out.
For free. I'm just kidding.
They're in there. They're an early adopter. So we have some of them, you know, like Access, for example, said, yeah, this is a different kind of idea, but we're going to believe in you. We're going to like back you up for this grant. You know, Access was an early adopter. Then you have people, you know, most people in the middle want to wait a few years and see if you survive. They want to see if you're going to stay around. They don't want to give their money to something that might disappear. I don't blame them, because a lot of startups fail, right? That's the reality. We won't be one of them, but some do. And then at the end, you have people that, down the road, oh yeah, looking back, they did a great job. Okay, I'll give them some money now. So we have all along that curve. We're very fortunate to have support from people like Child Development Foundation, the Wawa Foundation, companies like Insperity, Dow Chemical is a big supporter of ours. We just found out today that we got a nice grant from them. So our goal to raise money, the more money we raise, the more we can do and the more people we can hire. So there's no upper limit. I will never turn money away, that we will have reached our goal. But we want, on the other end of it, we want to let people know we've built this organization from donations like $10, $25. Wow. When we got our first $100 donation, that's like very rare for us. Like, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. So we're used to stretching a dollar and doing everything we can with the money that we're given. We're very appreciative of people who support us.
This is what I'm wondering. The Eagles Autism Foundation does proposals. I don't know if you heard of that.
I did hear something about that, but I think I might want to research that some more.
Because they are trying to use proposals for research, how to do more research for autism.
And I call myself a research nerd. I love research. I love.
But for example, they can say like, oh, we want to use the money for Integrate for Good. You can write a proposal together and say we want to use this money to help for Integrate for Good. So they can help you out with that if you propose a letter to that. I can give you in contact with somebody with that.
Hey, Ben
that would be awesome.
Everybody. Ben knows everybody, and he said,
he is incredibly connected.
He is the godfather of North Penn. He is. Ben is. Ben is. More importantly, people, everyone watching right now, listening, whatever mode of platform that you are using right now, you can donate. You can make the difference. Dr. Weinberg pointed out a very, very specific thing. Our littlest was $10, but it made a difference. So what can you do today? Yes, you know what? The economy is bad. Things are not as we think they should be, but it can only start with just a couple of dollars. And that's from me, that's from you, that's from everybody. So please, please find it in your heart and in your budget to give to something that's worthwhile. Also, too.
I'll tell you what, Jamiel, I think what we should do is, I think we should help her donate. I think we should donate some of our money to her to help.
I think that's a good job. I really do think that's a good idea.
So,
that's
you know what? I'm thinking. Just by you having me on the show helps more. I mean, what we want to do is increase awareness.
We're going to help you out. We're going to help you out.
That's worth a lot. That is worth a lot.
We're going to help you out. We're going to donate, and then Jamiel, if you want to, you're welcome to. But I'm gonna definitely donate and help you out.
Well, the Godfather has spoken, and it shall be done. The Godfather.
I'm gonna have Ben MC our next fundraising event and shake everybody down.
There you go.
Yeah, and you know what? And we let people know, like, we're very sensitive to, what's going on, and we let people know, some people are very worried about their job security right now.
Of course.
And we're just encouraging people, you know what? Donating your time is incredibly valuable too. And it's something, the things that we put on our website are things people can do with their children, or they can do with people they live with of all abilities. So we try to find really accessible volunteer projects that they're not accessible. When you watch the video, you'll see they're very amateur, but I'll modify and I'll let you know how to do something if you maybe only have use of one arm, or if you need things broken down into small tasks because you have a limited attention span. We want to make sure that everybody knows, going back to that catcher's mitt analogy, that you can throw something back, and if people are looking for ideas on how to donate their time, we always appreciate money. But also we're encouraging people during this time in particular, like, your time is valuable, donate to, and not necessarily even volunteering for Integrate for Good, but find something that speaks to you, and donate an hour of your time, involve who you're living with. Because it's even an hour that you're not thinking about the current reality. It's a nice, positive distraction. And you think about, you know what, I still have the ability to make a difference from home. And there's a lot of value to that.
Exactly. A very, very valid point, and something that I think everybody in America and even across the world need to understand is that this time is for that recollection and that reflection and that generosity that is deep within each of us. And I'm not talking about signing off a check. Anybody can do that, but how many people can actually put in, as they say, put in the work? So it's time to actually start doing that, stepping up to the plate and letting others see that in order for them to follow suit and help, just with projects such as these or any project within your area. I mean, it's a simple telephone call. You're not doing nothing, sitting around. Why not do something that's positive?
I actually have a surprise. We're actually going to put, when we put this on YouTube, we're going to put the link on YouTube, the fundraising page, the people that donate. So we're actually going to put it on there.
There you go. It sounds like,
and we'll actually, and people can actually just donate on the page to make sure everybody just donates to Integrate for Good. It's a great cause, great organization.
Now, Bev, there's a couple of things coming up. You want to speak a little bit on about that, and also too, how can people get in contact with you and speak to someone or yourself at Integrate for Good?
Sure. So we're having a second event of something we did once a couple weeks ago that worked really well. Some people think about for-profit and nonprofit businesses separately. And one of the things that's kind of our specialty is bringing those two silos together so people can do things collaboratively. And one of the things we're doing as a fellow small business, I mean, you don't get much smaller than us. We don't have any paid employees. We have a couple contractors. But one of the things that we're trying to do is to think about the small businesses in our community, and even as our own little baby nonprofit, what can we do for them? So we're having a big networking event, and you don't have to be a business person to participate. You get to share 30-second commercial. You might share about your business. You might share your experience as a parent of a child with a disability. You might share your experience as a self. So on our last call, we had business people and we had self-advocates. We had people who live with autism and other disabilities sharing their 30-second commercials. We do fun, interactive Kahoot games, if you know the Kahoot platform.
Yes, yeah.
We give away, because of our corporate sponsors, we can give away gift cards. We have a 50-50 raffle. So we canceled our spring event, our spring fundraiser, and we cried about that for a while, but then we got ourselves together and we're like, well, what can we do? We can do a 50-50 and pull that ticket on Zoom,
There you go.
So
can I come join next time?
Show the link to that event in a second, but it will be May 5th. And the reason we chose May 5th is that Giving Tuesday now. People might be familiar with Giving Tuesday. It's usually the day after Cyber Monday, after Thanksgiving. It's a day of global giving coming together. Giving Tuesday added an additional day this year in light of COVID-19 because so many nonprofits are actually having to shut down if they're not big and strong enough. So we have Giving Tuesday now, May 5th, and a way to celebrate that is being part of our event, and maybe you'll even win a prize.
So, you know what? We're actually going to share that on that day when we have our other show, and we'll make sure everybody tunes into your thing that day too.
Okay, yeah, because I'm sure Access is involved in Giving Tuesday now. All the nonprofits will be, doing whatever they do on that day. We don't do a lot of social media stuff because we're so tiny, but it's our way of saying we don't want to be there with, as a nonprofit, we don't want to just be there with our hand out, give us a donation, because we don't want people with disabilities to be seen like that either. So we really try to exist as an organization to say, yeah, we need corporate support, Dow Chemical. But a good example of Dow, they're giving us a grant, but they put all kinds of plastics out into the world, right? Good plastics, but that plastic can end up in our ocean and landfill. They loved our sleeping mat project that we brought to their employees on Martin Luther King Day to make a difference there. We were going to do Earth Day with them, and unfortunately we had to postpone that. We're talking today about when we're going to reschedule. So it's about everybody doing what they can, taking and giving, because everybody has something they can give, and we hope people will be part of our day just to make some new connections, even to see some new faces. If you're bored of seeing the same faces in your house, you'll get to see all kinds of new faces at our event online.
Exactly.
I had an idea. Do you need help with the event?
Absolutely, and it's only $5 to participate, and that allows us to give out the prizes. And then to use a little bit of that money to launch our Montgomery County Community College initiative in the fall.
See, people, you can donate $5, you can meet new people, you can have fun, and you can win prizes. You can't even do that going out anywhere. Nowhere you can do that. So why not do this for an event such as this one? So you're going to have the, we actually have the link, so we can actually post up the link on our webpage for the show. Make sure people, oh, there we go. We got it up. Oh, and look at that.
There
Look
it
at
is.
that.
So we use the Give Lively platform, and then you can see it's $5 if you want to just participate and play the games. And then we have the 50/50 tickets. And then if you want to give a 30-second commercial, then that's $10. And that's the way to promote yourself or your business.
I think I'm going to ball on out, and I'm going to go for the 10 spots. I think I'm going to do that personally, and I'm going to go ahead and do a commercial and hopefully encourage some people just to stay positive and help out you guys. You know, our friends over there at Integrate for Good. So
yeah,
I think
and actually one last thing about the event, if I know businesses are struggling now, if you wanted an opportunity to sponsor the event, if you scroll down a little bit here at the bottom, you'll see our sponsorship opportunities. And our headline sponsor, somebody bought that already. But if you scroll down a little bit more, oh, I'm sorry, above that, it goes by like lowest to highest. Game sponsor, we have 4 games during the night. And then the game sponsor gets to announce that game and they get to promote their own business. So we were really thrilled for our first event. We were thrilled to have Univest as our signature sponsor. Shout out to Univest Bank. And then we had other smaller companies do the $100 sponsorship and got to promote their company and let people know if they're a restaurant, they're doing curbside, you know, they're doing pickup, letting people know how we can help their businesses, and they're helping us. And they're, if you're a sponsor, then your logo goes live on our website for the entire month of May. And people can click right through and get connected to your business because, you know, we need to all help each other.
Exactly.
Me and Jamiel, I think I have an idea. We should help Bev. We should help Bev do something like this on May 5th.
We should help her. We should definitely look at that sponsorship because, you know, it's a lot of big money being spread around here. Somebody bought the 250 one already. So, you know, we can't let other people show us up. We gotta, you know, go in there. You know, we're gonna.
Bev, are you okay if we can be helping out? Like if the Ben and Jay show came on and like helped out with the event for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would love help with like emceeing it and like keeping the fun. Like what we really want to do is make it fun. And who else can do that better than you, Ben?
Okay, I think me and Jamiel can make Jamiel.
The combination.
Let me look at my calendar. Actually, let me look at my calendar.
Tell people you know, because what we really want to do, what I've been seeing during this COVID-19 time, there are like groups for self-advocates. There are groups for people with disabilities, and then there are groups for business people. I'm in 4 chambers of commerce, and we have events every day. There's no intersection, right? Those silos are separate. But we're trying to like smush them together so that people in the business community hear from people like you, Ben, and what's important to you and what you want. And then you can hear what opportunities are available. Believe it or not, in this economy, there are companies that have told us they're hiring. So we want to make sure that those people get to talk to each other and we don't stay separate. Because I've been part of great conversations in each group, and I keep thinking, wow, it would be great if these groups were more diverse. So any way that we can let self-advocates know, we want your voices on that phone. And if you don't communicate with your voice, you can communicate through augmentative communication through the chat. We'll figure it out. We love to do that. But yeah, we'd love to bring people together, and we appreciate your help and offer to help and volunteer.
Hey, listen, I'm pretty pumped and excited about this. I don't know about you guys, but it beats going to Wendy's and spending $5 on a little $5 bag of food. I don't know about you guys, but I will be there on May 5th, starting at 4 p.m. Right?
4 to 5:30.
Okay, 4
to 5:30. It's like a happy hour.
It's happy hour. It's a virtual happy hour, people. What's wrong? It's an easy win. It's a win-win situation. So that your website for Facebook. How can people find you on Facebook so they can look you up, and also Instagram too?
Yeah, so Facebook, we are Integrate for Good, you know, spelled out FOR, just like our name, Integrate for Good. On LinkedIn, it's just me. So Integrate for Good has a page, but I don't really post to it honestly that much. So it's just Bev Weinberg on LinkedIn. But in terms of Integrate for Good, on Instagram, we are Integrate for Good, same thing. And on Twitter, we are INTFORGOOD, because it didn't fit.
Hey, listen, you got everything. You got all the pieces to the magic puzzle, more than what you may realize, and you're helping and you're shaping lives and you're shaping the most important part, and that's the minds first. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to being here on the show. Thank you for allowing me and Ben to interview you and just give our audience and everyone listening just a general idea of what's going on and what's happening right now. The world hasn't stopped. You know, caring has not stopped. Compassion has not stopped. It's only gotten stronger, and it will continue to do so. And hopefully hearts like yours, hearts like those individuals that are over there and who are volunteering, they will be the same way. So we appreciate your time. Thank you. You are friends of the Ben and Jay Show. You have
and that is an honor. And I just wanted to thank you guys for, you know, just giving everybody of diverse backgrounds, you know, a voice on your show, because I think the more voices that come together, the more good work happens. So best of luck in this venture. I am thrilled to promote it for you and can't wait to see who you bring on next.
There we go. Thank you. Well, stay tuned. We're here every Tuesday from 3 to 4:30. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the honor, Dr. Bev Weinberg.
And thank you guys.